Well, my view count is drastically dropping, and I have absolutely no ideas. So, best Disney theme songs. I doubt I even need a long introduction. You all know what Disney Channel is. It's something nearly all of us grew up on. The shows themselves vary in quality, despite almost all of them having the same fucking annoying laugh track.
What's going on?
Yes.
But because I'm shitty at criticizing and complimenting TV shows, I'm gonna praise their theme songs instead. In my opinion, the defining factor of a Disney show is its intro sequence, and the better it is, the higher interest the audience will have, regardless of the actual show's excellence. And I figured I'd list off some of the best. Before I start, it's time to lay some ground rules to bore you. First, I'm only including Disney-exclusive intros, nothing that was just on Disney XD or Junior, because most of them just tend to be middle range anyway. Also, the intro sequence has nothing to do with how I view the show itself. Hell, I haven't even seen more than half of the shows on this list. And furthermore, actually that's it. I guess it's time for...
Yeah! Yeah!
Number 10.
Listen now. Here we go.
Let's march right out of the gates with one of the oldest Disney Channel series in its existence. Personally, I don't have a preference between older and newer theme songs. They never really deviated from the same middle road quality, except when they pandered to younger audiences, but that's for another day. However, most songs in this list are relatively new, although that's mostly because I couldn't locate most of the older ones. So let's start this list off with a major throwback that I've never seen but has a fully classic introduction.
Bug juice, it doesn't come in a jar. Bug juice comes from who you are.
Okay, it actually isn't that good, but I kinda have a limited range of options, so this will have to do. Regardless of that fact, I do fully like this theme. It's got an upbeat tune that I can mostly assume matches up with the show, and a pretty catchy melody. The singer of this, who I'm too lazy to look up, also exhibits quite a bit of talent. Every time she chants Bug Juice, you just go through these somersaults of throwbacks from the 90s. It sounds like something that would perfectly fit in the front of a campfire, yet still excite everyone listening. And it only improves as it progresses. The 3-syllable breakdown sounds so invested and authentic.
Making friends, having fun.
It almost makes you forget I'm listening to the theme song for a show called Bug Juice. Okay, whoever thought of that needs to be lynched. I mean, God. Number 9. I can't really think of an intro, so just roll it. Talk about lively. In fact, I think if I were to rank how much these intros make me want to watch the show they're featured on, this would have placed way higher. I mean, just listen to these chants. I think my favorite part of the instrumental composition is that guitar shoved into the back of the mixing, but it's still loud enough to leave an impact on the audience. But I also straight up adore the non-stop drumming. Seriously, these drums never cease. The drummer must be exhausted. Even when there's not any noise, there's drum noise.
Ended up right here in our time zone.
As for the singer, he matches perfectly with this beat and conveys the theme with clear enunciations, and of course his outbursts. As much as I love how this sounds, I'm not as big of a fan of how it reads. For some reason, 22nd Century Man just grinds my gears a little bit. It doesn't help that it's basically just reading off Time Machine cliches. There's also the part, and unfortunately for me, anything involving that phrase is just ruined for me because of someone in particular.
Take it back, take it way back, take it way back to the first black man.
But hey, logic rant for another day. This theme is addictive, catchy, upbeat, and kinda makes me want to binge watch Phil of the Future for the rest of the week, which is ultimately what a theme song's goal should be.
22nd Century Man.
You better come.
Number 8.
I'm talking about
When I said I wouldn't be taking the quality of the TV show into account, I meant it, because holy fuck this next show is a train wreck. I single-handedly blame it for Disney's shows becoming more pandery and unfunny as it led to the channel into the drain for other shitty series to follow. But hey, what can I say? I'm a sucker for Selena. And no, it's not Wizards of Waverly Place. It's a show she's not featured on. Yeah, this is Selena Gomez. Kinda weird they chose her to sing considering the two stars are actually singers, but looking at their material...
I wanna try something new all night.
Yeah, this was definitely a good choice. In a way, this theme song matches perfectly with the show itself. It uses an electronic beat to pander to the kiddos, but this one's actually, you know, good. It highlights Selena's voice perfectly, mostly by staying relatively simple. It repeats the synth tone that should be grating, but comes off as atmospheric and danceable. I also love the flow of the more staccato and spotlighted synthesizers in the chorus. They have a very interesting progression. It's even enough to distract me from the rap wait, what?
to shake it up. You gotta change it up.
Okay, so it's not rap, but that autotune is blatant. I mean, yeah, I expected autotune, but not this egregious use of it. Or maybe I did. They randomly pitched her voice up all throughout the intro.
It can get a little crazy when the
And hey, it even makes for the iconic ending.
shake it up.
So yeah, good song, bad show, very bad show. It led to trash like this. It's been like 5 years, and I still don't know how this was a thing. I don't think anybody believes how this was a thing. Can we please not make it a thing anymore?
Shake it up.
All out party, and we're getting it started.
Number 7.
You mind some electric guitar?
Similar to the old versus new argument I made earlier, I think animated and live-action shows also have equally great openings. I mean, animated shows might have a slight edge since they almost always have more interesting visuals, but I can take both. But hey, you haven't put an animated show on your list yet, cries the introspective yet unenlightened viewer. Well, yes, you're right, I have. There you go, smartass. Man, I really need to watch more of this show. I kinda just quit on it after the first season, even though I loved every episode. I've kept more up to date on the theories surrounding the show more so than the show itself, and that's just a terrifying sentiment. But yeah, the intro. Let me just say it is very hard for me to like a purely instrumental track. I mean, unless you're Geometry Dash, but whatever. Additionally, the tune to this one is purely made up of whistles, which annoy the piss out of me at most times, and they're even a little off-pitch to fuck me up even further. But hey, what can I say, almost everything else here is perfect. I mean, sure, the whistle is the spotlight, but there's also these bells reflecting its melody, and although faint, instantaneously improves this tenfold. Additionally, those piano notes in its initiation are there throughout the entire theme, just shoved into the background, and they're perfect. And of course, there's the reverse whisper near the end because, you know, mystery boo. And I know it's somewhat irrelevant, but I don't think enough appreciation has been shown for this show's art style. I mean, just look at this. Ah, Wendy, I want you! The amount of mental therapy I need is unbelievable. Number 6. There's a certain form of irony in me just mentioning I don't really like instrumental songs, and me including another one right now. Some may call it hypocritical, it basically does contradict my earlier statement, but goddamn if I don't love me some Shia LaBeouf. I mean, before I mention anything, I might as well get the obvious out of the way. This animation is fucking atrocious! Yes, I get it's modeled after physical puppets, but that doesn't excuse the fact it just looks ugly. I never watched the show, but please don't tell me the whole series is animated like this.
The check you used to pay for my services was, as you say, bogus.
Travis, I'm really sorry.
Oh, thank God, it's just the usual boring sitcom. But there's really not much to say, I just love how jovial everything is here. It's a fantastic mix of grandeur and silent. Every instrument here plays in such a grand fashion, but also sided with a sense of security that makes it more mellow and pleasing to the ears. I love the high-pitched pianos, the old-timey guitars, and those trumpets are just so jazzy and remind me of some nice old 70s music. Not to mention the melody has a sense of unmatchable expertise, and every instrument combines to form this upbeat masterpiece. And it just gets better and better until it evolves into some sort of superhero theme near the end. The song conquers polar opposites. It's quiet and loud, it's modern and old-fashioned, it's amazing and terrible. Only because of those awful distracting sound effects. But yeah, amazing song. I just have to keep it on in the background and cast my vision away from the screen when the animation ensues. Number 5.
It's a party every week, baby.
Disney has had various sitcoms and live-action shows, so many that it's hard to pinpoint one that just describes their channel as a whole. You can choose That's So Raven, Hannah Montana, Sweet Life, Wizards of Waverly Place, and for the modern platforms, I didn't do it. Yikes, that's a hole we'll never climb out of. All these shows define what Disney is flawlessly, and any one of them could be considered its main series. However, with their cartoons, I feel as if it's blatant what represents Disney the best.
There's 104 days of summer vacation, and school comes along just to end it.
What an amazing animated series, honestly. It withstood 8 years of running time, while so many shows can barely run for 3. Additionally, this show comprised most of my childhood, so there may be a tiny bias, but I can't help that I remember every word of the full song without any aid whatsoever. Anyway, this is sung by Bowling for Soup, and even though this is the only song I've ever heard by them, they have to be super talented to pump some mastery like this out. I mean, his voice is...
So stick with us, cause Phineas and Ferb are gonna do it all.
kinda mediocre, but the instrumentals here are somehow unbeatable. They're insane, always keeping you on your toes, whether it's an awesome guitar riff, melodic brass instruments, explosive drums, or that extreme breakdown at the end. But I have to admit this is almost here exclusively because of the opening.
There's 104 days of summer vacation, and school comes along just to end it.
It's a perfect alternative rock riff, and as you can probably tell, I'm a sucker for alternative rock, or at least acts that pretend they are. The lyrics are also just as wacky as they need to be to gather audience interest, and still relevant to the show, even though it's really just listing off a bunch of random shit. And the best part is, this is not the best song the show produced. Not even close, I can name at least 5 off the top of my head that are better. Don't believe me? Squirrels in my pants, Busted, There's a Platypus Controlling Me, Gitchy Gitchy Goo, and Ain't Got Rhythm. I mean, basically any millennial knows that this show had a song every episode, and everyone was truly majestic. And yet I'm still fully satisfied with this being the most iconic and well-known. Oh wait, I guess Gitchy Gitchy Goo's got you beat. Huh.
Phineas and Ferb are making a title sequence!
Number 4. There's a lot of iconic Disney shows that I've never watched, not even an episode of. And honestly, I'm more insecure about not watching these shows than basically anything else. Like, I never watched That's So Raven or Lizzie McGuire, and I feel as if that's a mortal sin. But oddly enough, the one I feel the worst about came between these two, and it's probably mostly because of the fact I share a hair color with the main character. In fact, I'll dress up for the occasion. I'll just go offset for a second and let the video play.
If you just call my name, impossible. Call me Big Man if you wanna reach me.
Yep, that's right, I never watched Kim Possible, and my soul holds a huge void because of this. But I can't deny it has one kick-ass intro. I mean, there's a thumping bass running through the entire thing, and it's the most boppable component of anything I've ever heard. Additionally, the various hi-hats utilized throughout the whole theme really extenuate its perfection. Too bad the composition is the only good thing about this.
Whenever you need me, baby, call me Big Man if you wanna reach me.
I mean, I don't know who's singing this, but she can hardly stay on beat, or on pitch, or on tone, or on anything, really. Continually, her voice is probably one whole octave higher than it should be. It just goes against the bass, and makes the composition sound awkward and averse to itself. Also, I don't care who you are, this phrase should just make your whole body wince.
Call me Big Man if you wanna reach me. When you wanna page me, it's okay.
So, you may be wondering if it has all these flaws, why do I love it so much? Well, that instrumentation is good. Like, really good. Mind-numbingly good and hella catchy. Probably one of the catchiest instrumentals in anything ever. Also, on an unrelated note, I finally found my Kim Possible outfit. I guess it's a little late now that I finished the analysis. Why am I always late to everything?
So what's the sitch? Call me Big Man if you wanna reach me.
Number 3. New Disney kinda sucks. I mean, everybody always takes jabs at Dog with a Blog, and they're justified in that, no doubt, but somehow that's probably one of the more tolerable shows Disney has shoved out in the past 5 years. Yes, that show is somehow 5 years old. I'm flabbergasted too. Anyway, I don't watch most of the newer Disney shows because of this, and I haven't even heard of most of the recent ones that came out. But regardless, I checked their theme songs, and while most of them were pandering bullshit, I did come across one that's just straight up revolutionary.
I wanna get stuck with you. In the middle of the party, we're just getting started.
God, they finally did it right. A song that's actually bouncy and fun and makes me want to watch the series. I mean, it probably sucks, but this insanity just keeps me coming back. I mean, like expected, everything here is an unorganized mess, but this looseness forms some sort of invisible bond within itself, and it just flows both naturally and unnaturally, like this horn loop. It's absolutely unkempt and out of control. It even slightly clashes with the rest of the beat, but it stands out and worms into your head and gets stuck there. And then there's the pre-chorus with the disjointed crowd chant, and everything falls apart until it comes back together in the chorus.
Let the games begin. Let's jump right in. I wanna get stuck with you.
It sounds like a demented circus, one that's made up of a bunch of lunatics from those white rooms. You know the ones. And this singer, I mean, he's not really the best, but again, he kinda sounds like a wannabe alt-rock star, my favorite. Also, that little falsetto part in the chorus, it kinda reminds me of One More Night, but more well-controlled because anything's better than Anna Levine. The lyrics are also unique and pull me in, and by that I mean they're generic. Like, generic is all hell. But, I mean, the lyrics don't have to be flawless. As long as they don't actively make me cringe, you're good.
Call me Big Man if you wanna reach me.
This intro is surprisingly good, you know? Maybe I'll give some other intros a shot.
You could watch us make ridiculously funny videos, like the one with the evil pop-up books that punch you in the nose.
Fucking bury me 3 million feet under the ground!
I wanna get stuck with you.
Number 2. As we've seen in just this video alone, Disney's opening music plunges into a plethora of genres, and yet they all have that massive appeal vibe. I mean, most have been pop, but there were some electronics, some with jazz elements, a little bit of country mixed in, even the occasional hip-hop. But due to the modern audiences and the fact they started making shows in the 90s, you get a very slight and minimal amount of rock and roll. But the closest they did get to that authentic rock and roll sound was so spectacular. Let me just get this out of the way. This does not sound like it should be intro music in the slightest, and whoever marketed that is a fucking moron. Or maybe not, the show lasted for 3 seasons, but it was a gutsy move that very luckily paid off. Also, I've never heard of this show before. Like, even the other shows on this list that I've never watched sounded familiar, but based on just the title sequence alone, I'm assuming it's like if Supernatural was for kids. And apparently it was really edgy, so maybe that's not the best sign? You know what? Enough theorizing, let's just appreciate the epic guitar solo. This electric guitar alone solidified its spot on this list. It is the only major instrument carrying a song from point A to point B, and it wants you to know how epic it is. That's not to say the bombastic drums don't play a role though, they're insane and a welcomed addition. Even the singer has this iconic old school rock and roll voice that's just both soothing and energizing. God, I just realized that half my commentary is just listing off polar opposites and applying both those qualities to an unrelated song. It's so infuriating yet monotonous. I'm sorry, where was I? Oh right, this part sounds excellent. This song alone just makes me want to become butthurt and yell, I was born in the wrong generation! So in a sense, I guess this song would do more harm to me than good. Now, I would do honorable mentions, but these are really the only 10 good Disney openings, so instead I'll just show you the top 5 worst Disney theme songs, condensed into a tiny segment. You're welcome in advance. I used to love this show, and then I kinda realized it was a huge heap of garbage. From minute 1, however, I always hated this opening. The singer goes into that higher pitch for roughly half the theme, and it just drives me up the wall.
Who's a little like water and oil? Brandy and Mr. Whiskers.
This song would be completely fine if everybody who says their name sounded normal, but they always have to add some unnecessarily over-the-top voice.
Brandy and Mr. Whiskers.
It's not funny, it's not endearing, it makes me infuriated and sounds so awkward. Why do I care so much about this? Never really got into the show, but I'm assuming it was pretty likable. But whenever I hear this, I just like to think of an overly depressed man sitting in the recording booth yelling, I don't get paid enough to be half singing the same 3 words over and over again.
And sing this song, Kiki Waka!
I like Jessie, but I can't be the only one who thinks it was the least worthy 2010 show to get a sequel. Hell, I would have understood Ant Farm more. This song isn't even that atrocious, but it really is when you think about it, especially all the pandering elements. Plus, if I hear someone say Kiki Waka one more time, I will shove my head into a spinning fan.
Let's go make some videos. Hey, hey.
I know I brought this up earlier, but this is the exact type of pandering shit I despise from Disney. I don't think there's a single lyric I can stand, or a single note these girls sing.
You could watch us make ridiculously funny videos.
They try to harmonize, but they just sound like creepy Siamese twins. The fact people actually like this is just bizarre. No, I'm not sinking to that level. Let me get to number 1 before I go insane.
Let's go make some videos. I missed.
And finally, number 1.
I'm your man.
Now, I've always wanted to make this list, but this entry specifically is the reason I decided to write it in the first place. This was my theme song for at least 3 years. It made me fall in love with the singer. It made the show one of my all-time favorites, and I'm confident there's not a single issue in it. Well, there probably is, considering my music taste is hideous, but you win some, you lose some. I guess that's enough delay. Ladies and gentlemen, I present a song where Selena Gomez is actually on key.
Well, you know everything's gonna be a breeze. Then will no doubt justify the means. You can fix any problem with the slightest of ease. Yes, please.
Come on, you didn't think Shake It Up was the last you'd see of Selena, right? I'd be an idiot not to include this masterpiece when I included that electro mess. Now, that statement at the end of my preamble was both a joke and actually serious. I've sadly come to the reality that Selena is not a talented vocalist, and I single-handedly blame that on this train wreck right here.
Oh, I'm trying not to think about you.
That song made me revisit a lot of her old songs and realize the egregious autotune and minimal amount of talent included. However, it didn't change this gem. I don't think anything will. Just to be clear, I'm talking about the remake with these cool little majestic whirly synths at the end of every bar. I mean, if that isn't the coolest thing you've ever heard, I don't know what is. Every synth, every instrument, every singular component cannot be improved upon. It is the epitome of perfection. The drum machine, the synthesizing machine, the singing machine, I mean Selena. I mean, yeah, her voice is slathered in effect, but it adds 2 layers of greatness. It hides Selena's off notes and highlights the magic premise of the show. Not to mention the absolute sass.
Yes, please, and that's what I said.
Selena also wavers on every end note on the verse to really emphasize them. It's little additions like these that find me returning often, and I can tell you every singular reason why this theme is amazing, but I'm assuming you're not deaf, so you can just listen to this awesomeness. And that is why the opening to Wizards of Waverly Place is the best Disney has ever created. It kind of pisses me off that literally every other Disney song besides Everything Is Not What It Seems had a full version, while that one is just limited to what's included in the introduction. I mean, this show is a fan favorite. You'd expect more care put into it. But yeah, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, leave a like or comment either agreeing politely or slamming my praises into a fucking wall and calling me a cuck, or something in between there. My next video will likely be something involving 2015's music, but I could branch into video games or something. Uh-oh, I think I reached the end of the credits. This is Legend Empire signing off. Bye.